What's up, guys? Pat here, and I have finally gotten my hands on a Ruger-made Marlin. It's the Marlin 1895 Trapper, chambered in 4570, the only government that I trust. Of course, a huge thanks to my buddy Josh for letting me borrow this thing for over 2 months. Of course, what I wound up having to do was just load up a ton of 405 grain lead projectiles. These are a powder-coated projectile, and I loaded them under 4198, and it did deplete my entire supply of 4198. So now I'm sitting on plenty of primers, plenty of brass, and I'm going to have to go buy 4198 at today's price, and that's kind of going to suck. But I did have a great deal of fun with this gun. I took it and let several friends shoot it at a range day. And of course, there was this one little enthusiastic fella named Piglet.
Oh my gosh! Holy crap!
That was a man-sized round, and little feller came back for more. So that was really fun to watch that. Guys, I've only got 5 rounds of 4570 left.
I'm not sorry.
You know, it being the Trapper, it's just a short barrel. The way that I see this, if I were to wind up, you know, in Alaska or something like that, fishing, trapping, just moving around, doing something, that would be the setup that I would want. Just really lightweight, quick target acquisition, and throwing a ton of lead at something like a grizzly or something that wants to eat you. Right here is the factory peep that comes installed on that Marlin 1895 Trapper. Now this is just meant to be small, lightweight, quick target acquisition. This pairs up with a front sight that has a white front ramp, and that white front ramp, when you go to pull it up, you can just absolutely see that white front ramp. It draws your eye right to it. Then of course you center your white ramp right there inside of your little aperture. You've got a removable aperture, so you can take your finer aperture out, just unscrew it, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and then you can see you have a larger aperture. So this larger aperture would be for, you know, you just want to be minute of grizzly bear, minute of charging grizzly bear. So if all you're trying to do is just panic situation, send lead downrange in a very fast manner, yeah, you would just simply take that aperture out. Of course, that smaller aperture gives you a finer tuning. But now I took this and I really wanted to see how this would group. So I put it on paper targets, and I felt like, you know, the accuracy was okay, but I felt like the rifle could do just a little bit more. So what I chose to do is put an LPVO on it, a low-powered variable optic. I chose a Zerotech Vengeance 1 through 6. Now that Zerotech Vengeance is going to add just a little bit of weight, but that one power, you roll it all the way over, you can keep your quick acquisition because it's not zoomed in. Keep your quick acquisition, and then if you need to take a more discerning shot, you can roll it over and go anywhere from 1 to 6 power. 6 power, maybe you need to get a little better look at a deer's antlers or something like that before you take the shot. So I felt like that was a little bit better. Twofold. Now, me saying that I felt like I could get a little more accuracy out of the rifle, I definitely could. Having 6 power, being able to zoom in on that target and really just watch my breathing, watch my heartbeat, watch the shot that I'm breaking, and take as much of me out of the influence in how this thing grouped. So now most of my groupings, I had some commercial ammo and I had some of my own hand loads. So now at 50 yards with pretty much everything, I was within an inch. Some of them were clover-leafed, you know, I had some of them that were touching. And then when I stretched it out to 100 yards, it seemed like everything was just minute of Coors Light. So, you know, we're all within about 2.5 inches, which is very adequate. So within 100 yards, very adequate, especially for hunting. You know, most animals give you a pretty gratuitous kill zone. So if you think about it, you know, even 2.5 inches, that's plenty enough for even headshots at 100 yards. So you're delivering a heavy payload in a small, convenient package, and it's accurate enough to do the job. And of course, for part of the condition of Josh letting me borrow this thing, he bought a bunch of sweet Space Cowboy parts from Ranger Point Precision. He bought the Costa handguard, some other stuff, and he says, hey man, come get the rifle, come get the parts. By the time you bring it back, I want this thing to be totally converted. I don't want to have to wrench on this thing. I want everything to just be done. So that's exactly what I did. So let's give you a closer look at this thing. And boom, here it is. Of course, this thing is wearing a nice mix of billet and factory wood. They've given you some checkering here on this laminate. Laminate feels pretty nice. Checkering feels pretty nice. I think it's laser done because basically they've got your little cowboy here, your Marlin cowboy done up in the laser. And of course, a telltale sign if it's Ruger made, you have got the red dot. It's got a very gratuitous rubber butt pad. This rubber butt pad is very grippy, very soft. Of course, what have we done to this thing? The biggest thing you're going to see here is this Chris Costa handguard. Chris Costa handguard here is a collaboration with Ranger Point Precision. Got M-LOK at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. You've got QDs at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. And then, of course, he's got a factory swivel here. You can see that factory swivel on the front. That will coincide with the swivel here on the back so he can run a traditional sling. Now, this is the factory loop. My wife has gotten really good at duplicating that Marlin dark braid, and I am freaking loving the fact that she can just belt these things out. That's really cool. Got him a hammer extension on here. This hammer extension makes it really nice for getting a purchase on that hammer. That way, you know, when you go to cock it and decock it, you're not sliding off. Because an LPVO, when you've got one nice and low like this, really close with as minimal of a mechanical offset as possible, it kind of gets in the way. He still has the factory trigger. Now this factory trigger, according to my scale, it breaks at 8 pounds. And some people say, oh, that trigger breaks like glass, or that trigger breaks like... I think it breaks like celery. It's actually pretty rough. So Josh, you're going to need to get one of our trigger kits. He put the quick takedown screw on here. This quick takedown screw actually comes in really handy. It'll save you time, save you money, and save you ammo. Because think about it. In your occupation, what do? You trade time for money and then money for ammo. So if you'll notice, when I was at the bench the other day, I just went ahead and with no tools, spun the screw out, looked down the barrel, went ahead and dialed my optic into it. And so first round, I was already on paper. So I'm not having to hunt, not trying to figure out where my point of impact is. I just drew right to where I was at and saving money, ammo, time. It's all the same thing. We've already established that, correct? Of course, as for the optic, this is a Zerotech Vengeance. This is the 1 through 6. Now this one I had to borrow from my Henry X model. This is the one that I killed that big massive hog with that day and night setup. This will wind up going back on my Henry X very soon. But of course, with this LPVO, I got a really nice set of low rings. These are worn 513Ms. I have got several sets of these. If I don't have 6 or 8 sets of these 513Ms, I don't know how many I have. Of course, with 4570 being heavy recoil and the fact that I use my guns, I take them out, hunt with them, I don't have to ever chase zero. So that's a testament to a really good set of rings. But now back to this Costa handguard. What he did was he went with the full Costa set, the full set of gaiters. You got a front gaiter here, a middle gaiter, and then of course you've got a Marlin specific receiver rail. And of course on the front end of this thing, it is threaded 11/16 by 24. So you could put your favorite muzzle device on there. You put a brake, you could put a whisper pickle, however you want to do it. And they actually did it right. I noticed that there is another manufacturer that got this end cap too far forward. So by the time you go to thread your suppressor on there, it bottoms out. So Ruger actually did that right by giving you enough time or enough room for the shoulder of that suppressor to sit down on here. And of course, I didn't shoot this thing suppressed a whole lot. I just wanted to keep this thing in its really short configuration. By the time you put a suppressor on there, you're going to add a whole big old bunch of length. And I said, no, I'm just going to keep it short. And then let me show you the final little modification we made. We put a lightened loading gate in here, which is very nice. That lightened loading gate makes it easy to get ammo in there. And of course, if you don't have a lightened loading gate, I've got a quick tip for you. So just take your pinky and line it right there up with your loading gate. Hold each round like that right there. That keeps you from getting bit till the last round. Sorry about your hardware. Figured I'd go ahead and give this thing one last send off. Drop 3 more rounds through this thing before it goes back home. It almost feels like I'm losing a friend. I've had quite a bit of fun with this thing. Overall, I'm impressed with the build quality of it. The machining on it is pretty decent. You know, I had a machinist buddy. He saw a little bit of chatter back here on the bolt that he didn't like, but me, just as a consumer, I didn't really see anything bad. This thing is pretty solid. No wiggle in the mag tube. Everything's locked up. This wood is pretty nice. Overall, I think I'm going to have to get one of my own to replace this one. I definitely like it. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at the Marlin 1895 Trapper from Ruger. I'm digging it. About to go shed a tear when I hand it back. But anyway, tell me what you guys think of them down below. Tell me if you got one, what your experiences are. And of course, check out the Linktree links. Those help support the channel by putting ammo back in guns and gas back in the tank so that I can turn on the camera and show to you these sweet lever guns. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. We'll see you next video. I love you, and I kind of love this thing, but I'm sad to have to let it go. We'll see you.